Hey everyone, my name is Taps, and today I'm excited to have the first official AMA of what I imagine will be many to come with the exciting upcoming project Kaloscope on the channel. Help me in welcoming my two special guests. The first is a familiar face, Kaloscope's communication manager, Ecomi content creator, and KFC aficionado, Hello K, and Kaloscope's founder, CEO, successful entrepreneur, Captain Kirk Allen. Thanks so much for coming on the channel.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Tabs. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I love the painting behind you. Are you in UK, same as Hello K?
Well, I'm actually in Ukraine at the moment. I'm here working with the developers, just coming up with the demo app. So I actually moved out of the UK almost a year ago, around October. I just didn't want to be in the lockdown, as you know. So
Fair.
just decided traveling a little bit, yeah, it got me to a lot of adventures in between, but got me to where I am today. So
That's awesome. I imagine you definitely have probably a little bit more freedom in Ukraine than UK, given the lockdowns, and able to do a lot more being hands-on with the developers if that's where they're located too.
yeah, no, it's been a learning process because it's a field that I haven't yet explored, especially learning about this new technology. It takes a while to just get around, and just to find even people who have been doing this for a number of years. One thing I found is that people just have a hard time trying to explain what this blockchain or NFTs or crypto is. So that's really the forte. But I'm super excited to share some really good news, and that's why we're here today. And we'd love to share some, especially to our upcoming community as well. So
Yeah. And I think that's a really good segue into kind of give us an introduction. Who are you, Kirk? And how did this kind of come to be? What's your experience in the tech? And we know Hello K obviously, but who is the broader team, and what is Kaloscope?
Sure. So Kaloscope's idea was mainly to come up with a solution for all these, a place to house your NFTs. So I've noticed that every single almost a week, ever since like March, new NFTs just kept popping up everywhere.
Everywhere.
And my first experience really on this NFTs movement was that the DeLorean drop from Veve. And that's what really changed my perspective about it, because I was told about this a couple of years back, but I never really understood how we can integrate it. So, the background about me is I was in the hemp and sustainability industry for the last 4 to 5 years. In between that as well, I've worked with another startup based on tech to build websites, applications, etc. We're also working in a number of medical devices through my family's channels as well that we'll be introducing into the UK market, and a number of other ventures globally. So it's literally a culmination of all those experiences that led us to this exciting new venture today.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you've been, part of the Veve community and the Ecomi community as well for a while. If you're talking about the DeLorean drop, that was quite some time back, and I'm not surprised that Kay is working with you guys then too, since he has as many of the ultra rare DeLoreans as we've seen.
Always 5.
Yeah, it's 5. Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, I was stuck in Dubai. You see, I went to Dubai around that time. So I moved from Spain. I spent a couple of months in over there, and then after Brexit, it was harder to stay. I have a British Philippine nationality, and because of Brexit, it made it harder to just stay longer than the 90 days. So in order for me to stay somewhere else, I wanted to go back to the Philippines, and ended up getting stuck in Dubai.
Oh.
And through there, one of my co-founders, Ryan, the hemp company. He started trading in crypto while we were in Dubai, and I was interested in it, but never really understood it. And I said that K approached me and said like he's got a group that's teaching people how to trade in different stocks and crypto. So I told my friend, oh, you got to meet K and meet up with Dan KW Chow. So and he started getting into this Veve thing, and like after he did his first drop, the week after was the DeLorean. He told me, Kirk, you got to try out this Veve thing. Like it's coming on in about like 5 minutes. So we were both in the same hotel room and said, okay, let's see what we can do. And I started pressing the button backing the button as much as I can, and I pressed the button, it wasn't working. I pressed the button, it wasn't working, and then suddenly I managed to get an ultra rare.
Nice.
And I'm like, wow, it sold out after half an hour. And then, and I said, oh my gosh, this is so cool. They got a virtual car. And the thing that really surprised me was that, I started seeing this car because I think that time Veve didn't have the marketplace. They started selling on eBay.
Yep.
So it was going for double the price. And I'm like, how can something that just got released be double the price in less than like 2 hours? And that's what really piqued my interest and started understanding like what is an NFT, what is it? And the more I learned about it, actually, the more I understood that this could actually be, the gateway to potentially the next phase of the internet. And that's really where my interest peaked about, and started exploring. And through that journey, I started studying Veve, what they were doing. I studied a number of different projects from Terra Virtua to a number of different NFT companies, and even big brands dropping NFTs. But I keep asking myself the same question. People keep dropping NFTs, but where do you keep them? And that was the question that was, hard to ask. It's normally housed in the wallet or the place where you purchase it. So for me, I tried to put it in much more simpler terms. So it's almost like I go to a Nike store, I then purchase a limited edition shoes, and then I can't take it out of that shop. So that's how it felt like for most drops and for most NFT assets. So I said, and even if you could house it on maybe a private external wallet like a MetaMask, it wasn't really visually appealing to actually showcase it. So that's really where the problem was properly addressed. So I was looking for a problem, and I was facing it myself. I was purchasing some NFTs, but I couldn't show it off to anybody. There was no way to show it off, and Veve was the only one doing it right.
Interesting. So, I mean, to kind of sum that up, it sounds like some of the inspiration came from what you experienced with Veve and the drops, and you saw this need for the space, and that it's going to be a massive space, but you saw a need for a better housing that's not just limited to a single app, right? Like you're in the Terra Virtua app because you're collecting those robots and things like that, or Veve collectibles, or even maybe like Red Fox Labs and many of those other vaults. But basically, Kaloscope is going to help kind of be a bigger, more of a warehouse or another vault or storage for all of the different types of NFTs. Is that kind of what I'm summarizing?
Yeah, so something like that. So it evolved into looking at a showroom space, but then, like, I have to be honest, I really don't like museums, and showroom spaces are quite boring. I think of it in a way that if you're buying something from the outside, if you go to a shop, what do? You carry it in your bag and you go all the way to your home, and then you put it in your room, like your own personal exclusive space. And that's really where for me it hit. Like, why can't I own my own digital space? Why can't I own my own digital exclusive space that is that I am the owner, and then I can also keep my NFTs within this NFT space. And that's really where the concept came about. And then the question is next, how do we showcase it? How do you actually visualize this, let's say, showroom? Do we use it in a web app? Do we use it as an, just a mobile application? Do you use virtual reality glasses? And I always try to dumb things down to the point about the simplicity of that. Not many people, number one, is into the virtual reality space. Not many people even have goggles. So I slashed that off.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wrote down on a piece of paper, what if you can have it as a web app? Then the biggest issue with that is sometimes even computers, they're not optimized enough to even play high poly video games. So then that's when I said, like, okay, maybe we can explore something on the mobile application side. Now, Veve has this aspect wherein, you can view your vault using augmented reality or virtual reality, as well as moving your assets. So, I took that concept, and what I said, like, what if you can actually, number one, own your space, number two, interact with your NFTs, and number three, you don't actually have to keep your NFTs within this vault. Like, maybe you can just have a projection of the NFTs rather than the actual NFTs themselves, and then project it using augmented reality, virtual reality, and extended reality. So that's really where it came about. And I started playing with digital spaces, and it opens the door to a different dimension.
Fantastic. And I mean, there are a lot of big names in the space, and it's definitely growing. And so I think the fact that you saw that need and are kind of building on top of it is great. Like I mentioned, there's obviously Veve and Terra Virtual Collect and Red Fox Labs and many more out that are starting to build out. I'm excited to see whatever Tom Bilyeu is building. It might be something vault related, but where, I guess, do you see yourself as a competitor to like a Veve, or do you see yourself targeting a different market? And how is Calo really differentiating themselves from these projects in terms of how you're going after audience and partnerships?
Sure. I mean, the number one thing about us is it's not emphasized on the marketplace. Like, for me as a collector as well, I love Pokemon growing up, Like, for me, it's like all these NFTs, I feel like they're brand new Pokemon that just popping up out of nowhere. But then since this marketplace has came about, it's almost like you catch a Pokemon and suddenly you sell it the next day or like the next second. And for me, that was the issue with Veve, because the marketplace was so available that people just go ahead and flip it. But as a collector, you wanted to play around with it, you wanted to move things around, you wanted to organize things. It's really the space. That's why we've positioned ourselves more like a social media, wherein it's to showcase your NFTs and maybe purchase assets within the app to help enhance the experience of you're interacting with your NFTs. So like the spaces, potentially like digital AR frames to project your to the images, maybe interactive portals where you can invite your friends to come and see your portal, and maybe even like I can hold my phone in front of me just like that, and then I can see you guys in your virtual skins, and then you can see me in my virtual skin. And the one thing for me is that, like, what if we can also take a selfie while we are in this virtual space, and then I can showcase to you guys that I'm doing this stuff. So those are the things that I said, like, what can we do? Let's explore. Let's go deeper, and just doing some little tips and tricks like that. And I think that's really where we're gonna really improve, because we can collaborate with a lot of projects. It's not really direct competition. It's more like it's powered by collaborating with other NFT projects. So if you have an NFT, whether it's like, I don't know, like a LeBron NFT, or if it's like your Veve NFT, or whether it is your Terra Virtual NFT, it's more like it's a place where you can flex your NFTs, a place where you can trade your NFTs. It's a collector's Facebook, I would say, Facebook for collectors.
That's a good
if I could
tagline.
If I could just add there, because I know Kirk's kind of describing it, and the first time I had seen it, it's one of those things where you have to visually see it to just see the scope of it. Like, it's very difficult to describe in words. So when I saw it, it's like, and the Medium article hopefully is going to be out by the time this video is out, so you can kind of see the various different pillars of Kaloscope, like the NFT wallet, the portals, etc. The first time I saw it, so just to like kind of give an example, is imagine like you're in your room and you see like this kind of whirlpool of like water, for example, and you walk into this whirlpool and you walk into like what looks like, the lost underwater world of Atlantis. And I think somewhere like that would be really cool to have, like, your aquatic themed NFTs, like fishes and whatnot. And then you could have maybe like a black hole, and you walk through that black hole and you're in like a futuristic world. And you could have like, really cool, like, robotic themed NFTs. And we know there are, a lot of NFTs that would fit into that kind of showroom. And it's down to the individual to kind of express their creativity, kind of build their online brand, like within a metaverse. And that's kind of like, when you see it, it all makes sense.
Right. No, I mean, I appreciate that. And hopefully maybe I can pull some of like images and kind of like slide them into this later. So that way, everyone can kind of see what we've seen and like, what looks really cool. I'm sorry?
I can potentially share a screen of like a little teaser.
Yeah, let me give the ball to you. Hold on.
Sure.
This is going to be an exclusive before anyone else then, first on Taps' channel.
I'm going to go ahead and make you the host. You're seeing it here first, folks, right on the TapsTrades channel.
So this is just a teaser of what's to come, right? So we've been exploring on different things similar to something like this. So imagine like this is a design space as a concept that we developed potentially for the Spanish football team. So imagine this, like what if you can, own a sort of digital space showroom through the power of your phone. You can look through this. And then while you're watching the football match, you can basically scan, you can use a Kaloscope app to scan a QR code, which will then take you to, I don't know, maybe the FIFA website. And then you can buy an NFT there, and then you can then store it in this sort of digital, virtual space. So as you can see, I'm just walking around with my phone. You can have like the football right there in the middle, maybe, and maybe different 2D images so that people can explore. And then something like where, okay, you have a jersey for your, for your team. Maybe it could be a basketball, it could be rugby, it could be almost anything you want. But it's like, this whole space belongs to you. Like, this is my space. This is exclusive to me. And that's really, and maybe in the future, you can even sell this whole showroom all in one, like all together, and rather than selling it just one piece at a time. So sell the whole digital space rather than just, individually.
Wow. You said a lot of things there, and that's really cool. I mean, you kind of revealed, like, right, like you're having pretty large conversations with organizations, with basically, actual large sports teams. And I know you're having larger conversations with even larger organizations as well. So I'm curious, who are the partners behind the project, right? Because I think it's one thing to say, hey, I have this great idea, and you're a successful entrepreneur, but it's one other thing to actually know that you're executing on some big partners who are behind it. And then also or I guess, what are some of the types of organizations that you have on board or are bringing on board soon?
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, this is just to the viewers. When you're starting a business, you don't always need to, have the capital or anything like that. Like the number one thing that I learned is to ask questions, right? Because when you ask questions, you learn. And asking the right ones can get you the right questions. Asking the wrong questions can get you the wrong answers as well. So, for me, it was really about social capital, and, wherein I've developed a lot of relationships through my, my ventures in the hemp and medical industry. And each one of them say, hey, I may know somebody who can help you with this. And then I ask them a question, and that question, it's really, I learned this from Elon Musk. It's about what you call first principles. How did, let's say, Veve became Veve? How did Terra Virtua become Terra Virtua? So the partnerships itself, it's literally like, these individuals, they're not like gods. It's you. There's nothing wrong with trying to speak with the CEO of a company and asking them, hey, would you be interested in this? If they reply, amazing. If they don't, you don't lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what we've been doing. We've been approaching different people and say, hey, would you take the time to check out our concept, see if we can collaborate, see if this is something that may interest you? And that's really where it came about. So in terms of us, like for me, in terms of the first reveal of the drop, I can't say it right now. We'll probably announce it in about 2 weeks once we solidify the concepts. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that people are really going to find something that really cares. That it's really something that hits the heart, because it's a problem that's being solved. And one way for us to contribute to it is through the NFTs. We'll go into that a little bit later on, but really, we have institutions, we have large brands, and the way we go about this is not like the style wherein we get the licensing of a said brand and then we create an NFT for them. So we don't take this approach. We do another approach wherein we help suggest them a certain aspect of an NFT, which will then help enhance the experience of the user within our app. So, I can come up with different examples. So let's say, you own a coffee shop, and then maybe you want to have a virtual NFT espresso machine in your digital showroom. So then maybe we can come up with digital espressos, in your NFT for this certain brand, and then we put it in the showroom. And for me, that's really the aspect. And it's not just that. For me, it's also individuals, because individuals like us, they're very creative people. They wanted to be able to share their NFTs in a different experience rather than a 2D image on a screen. To be able to see your artwork, your own creation, your own NFT in your own hands in a augmented reality experience, or virtual reality experience in an NFT showroom, is I think something that hasn't been done before yet. And again, the social aspect of this is immense. So these are just like little things that we've been taking a look at.
Awesome. And I mean, one thing that you said there that kind of jumped out to me is with everything, like especially like on Veve, like there's a big focus on like brands and licensors, which I think IP is king. But you said institutions, and I think that is kind of a differentiator, right? Like actually targeting the institution side, I think is a smart move, and I'm really curious to see how you're going to build it out. But I know there's a lot more coming, and I'm really curious about that. And I know, you come from a family of entrepreneurs who are quite influential in the APAC region. Will Asia be the primary audience, or will it be worldwide, or how is that going to kind of roll out?
It will be worldwide where we think it would be. But just to announce to everybody, this is what we're creating at the moment is in the demo phase. We haven't even integrated the blockchain system yet. But it's really to showcase the concept of the idea, and that's what we're showcasing in Dubai. To say that, look, these are the different features we're showcasing. There's a lot more to it.
And when is that?
So
you said that you're showcasing Dubai, so there's an event coming, right?
Yeah. So it's in the Crypto Expo Dubai on the 13th to 14th of October. And we will be showcasing, we'll have a little stand around there where we can showcase some of our NFT sort of social media aspects, and as well as to reveal and probably do a pre-sale on our first ever drop as well. So there's a lot of freebies. We will be doing giveaways during that time, especially to the community to get them engaged. So let's just say this is our first leg. We want to build this together with the community. Some feedback. What do you want to see? What do you think a metaverse could look like? And for me, like when I was thinking about this, going into the metaverse part, yes, I come from the Asia APAC region, but to be honest, since we're all connected via the internet, I feel like we're all in the same country. Mm-hmm. It might be in different countries right now, but because of technology today, it feels like we're in the same space where I feel like I'm speaking to you directly. But what if we immerse that into a part wherein I said, I really see the metaverse in a way that, like, what if we can split your identity in a way that you have your real identity, and what if you have your virtual identity? And then this app could be that gateway wherein a meta profile can be, your identity in the metaverse. And because we're developing it similarly to a Facebook rather than, any other platform, like what if you can use our app to log into other NFT projects, etc. Then you can use that as your main identity. So there's a lot of little nuggets we're like trying to understand, and maybe the achievements as well that you get from those NFT projects can then be housed inside this app. So little tiny things.
Awesome. I mean, that sounds pretty awesome to have that social aspect coming to this space, because I mean, there's a lot of social that we've created, right, to Veve and Terra virtual collectors, but not necessarily so much in a functional real social media, setting. So I think going that route makes smart, or it sounds very smart to me. Can you go a little bit more into, and I know, so it sounds like we'll be able to see the first drop sometime around October, like around that Dubai event, which very excited to see. And I imagine we'll probably get to see a lot more visually of what you've been creating. But, can you go a little bit more into some of like the features coming with maybe like avatars or interoperability? And you kind of already touched on a little bit like with the aquarium and the outer space, but those are what you're calling space portals, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the space portals really came about so that, to be honest, like, walking and driving sometimes is annoying. And I think it would be really cool if a portal just opened up, and it's like those first 3 to 5 steps that you walk through. I mean, it doesn't have to be like like outer space experience. It could be maybe walking through a forest and you find like a hidden cave, or like like a high-tech vault with like a virtual pad, buttons in it that you can interact. It's more of that immersive experience where you can, the portals, we can NFT the portals themselves and the actual space that connects to it. And then obviously there's a lot of utility that we're trying out because it's, we call it almost like mixed reality.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, K has sort of, seen bits of it, but in terms of the avatars part, the end goal really is, if you have an avatar from, another NFT project, we wish that could be your main avatar as well, that you can utilize the same tech. You have your, you can own maybe a Superman collectible, but then now you're wearing Superman as your skin. Like there's a lot we can play around with because all these are 3D models. But again, it's just early stages, but, looking forward for me is literally, like we live in a world wherein, sometimes, especially in the internet, you want to have your own identity. Some people don't want to showcase their gender, their age. And, like for me, it's like having that meta profile, that meta tag to say that my name is Captain Kirk. You don't know my last name, you don't know my first name, but then people know me in the metaverse as Captain Kirk, and my own special NFT. I mean, the thing is, if you want to think of Kaloscope, if you've watched the
Ready Player One,
yeah, if you watch the Ready Player One, like the first few moments of it when Wade Watts goes into the Oasis, and then that first bit scene that he walks through the portal. Mm-hmm. And then he can change his hairstyle and upgrade his look. Really, it's like that, but that's his meta profile, that's his identity. And then all the assets that he has around it, he has his own garage that could be his digital space. That's really the heart and soul of the NFT project. It's not just like one, metaverse. I call it the multi-metaverse. It's the bridges in between to this different multiple metaverse where I can see could eventually we can tap into.
Wow. I mean, right when you were kind of describing the split of like, this is my identity and then this is my meta identity, right away I was thinking like Ready Player One, right? Like that I am who I am in real life, but my identity is completely separate in this alternative world, right? And so that is like the mixed reality and immersive technology as it's coming to. And I've never heard multi-level metaverse or what you said, but I think the concept is really, really cool. And I like it because there's a lot of focus in the space for interoperability because it's so much needed. And it's definitely going to be even more so needed as more of the mass adoption comes. So the fact that you're targeting this and see a need for it now and you're already trying to get ahead of it is, how can we kind of bridge all of these separate little areas into one and can give more of like a social profile to it, I think is very, very smart and really, really cool. I'm kind of curious just as a collector myself and like looking forward to grabbing the collectibles. What kind of collectibles, can we really see or what will be coming, maybe sometime around that Dubai side? And you touched on the institutions, you mentioned the brands and licensing. And we saw, the potential maybe Spain football team. Can you give us like maybe an idea of some institutions or brands, as well as, if not, maybe like what spaces they're in?
Let's just say the best way to describe it is it'll just a little teaser drop. It will have something to do with, saving the world. Let's just say that.
Saving the world.
Oh man, I mean that could be a lot of different things.
Well, Kay can vouch for that, but like, the main point is to see it starts with something that impacts. There's one last thing that I was going to add on, and that was the longevity of an NFT, which was that a lot of NFT projects, as probably would say, will be wiped out or have no use case, right? And through our applications, we're also already looking at potentially. So I came up with this term called perkability. So it's come from two words, perk and ability, which is a way to maybe one day, Taps, you can come up with your own piece of artwork, and then a number of people, like maybe a couple of thousand people own it. And then what if somebody comes to us and say, hey, we really love Taps' artwork. Can we sponsor it? Then what if we do NFT sponsoring as well, so that whoever owns your NFT can get some new perk abilities? So not just owning a 2D image, now it has actual real life world benefits, maybe a discount to a Starbucks coffee, or maybe a ticket to a very exclusive event. So it's really utilizing the NFTs and this different perks.
Fascinating. So kind of in a way, you're not just working with maybe like an artist or brand and then creating an NFT that you're selling, but you're also kind of giving a little bit of them to continue with that NFT as an entrepreneur, right? Because they can continue to capitalize and kind of build an audience with it. And that probably ties in a little bit to the social aspect. So I haven't heard of anything quite like that. So that's really cool. I wasn't aware about that. Kay's holding out on me. So I mean, that's...
Kay would know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Kay would know that there's a lot more to this, and this is just the very beginning. There's a lot of issues with the NFT spaces that are not addressed. So we're trying to make the user experience as easy as possible. The app that we will showcase on the demo won't be the final version, but it is just to give people the idea that, look, we're going into this direction. We're probably going to be doing some really, really cool drops that's going to, make an impact. And then after that, it'll be the road to the IDO. So at least like once we get to that IDO phase, we're still working out the details. But, this is just our first step. We believe that we want to, when we launch our tokens and stuff like that, we'll probably get into, that there's a lot more use cases to it, not just, you can just buy something.
Right.
There's a lot more utility because it's a social metaverse, social media metaverse. There needs to be some social aspects to it. And then, collectibles are one thing. I kind of call it like assets instead, because, I can tease a lot more, but to be honest, it's better to just wait and see and we build the situation together. We're happy to, like, the community and coming up with their own hashtag Kalos Squad, you know, which is quite cool this early on, and also having like at least an emoji representing us this early is quite cool. And you know, they haven't even seen what we were ready to showcase yet, and there's already a lot of love. So you know, that's, you know, it's hard. It's a lot of heart.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the Discord and see like the posts on Twitter, and a lot of people are excited for it. And I think it's because it sounds like you're doing it the right way, right? Like you've thought about it, you've been building it out, and you're taking your time. And I think that's the way that Veve went, right? Like that's the way that Cardano's going. Like that's the way that some of my favorite projects have done, is they're not trying to race to spring a project up only for it to have a hype and then an inevitable fall and then lose all traction, but instead actually laying the foundation, building it out smart, and making sure that you can deliver something that actually has longevity. So that's what's really attracted my interest to Kaloscope. And, you know, I really look forward to seeing the app, and you've kind of touched on it, but it sounds like there will be, you know, some VR, some augmented reality, some mixed reality features to it. So, you know, when can we, I guess, expect to either see the beta or to start using the Kaloscope app?
Yeah, so I think for the time being, just we're, you know, this in discussions with the team. You know, after the Dubai Expo, we're gonna probably, you know, showcase, you know, very limited people our sort of demo app, almost like an invite only. To start with, and then after that, get some feedback, get some bits and pieces. Then once we improve a little bit on some stuff, you'll see our white paper ready. You'll see some of our websites UI, just to get some understanding of what we're looking towards. And you know, all that stuff is coming. And for us, really, is I think we will be raising our token, and then, you know, once we get what's after IDO, I believe that's when we're going to be starting to look at, you know, onboarding like beta users and coming up with, you know, like proper interoperability. Like, would you like to connect your wallet onto our platform, or would you like to create a new private wallet in order to, you know, come up with a new experience? Because we're trying to make it as easy as possible for even a new user. You know, that there's a lot of features that may be very similar to Veve that people are already accustomed to, because again, some parts of it is inspired, and even some of Virtua, Terra Virtuas, but it's a totally different aspect, because, you know, there's the social media metaverse aspect of it. There's the utility functionalities of how you use your NFTs, and on top of that as well, you know, it's about the freedom of owning your own exclusive space, because now, you know, you have your own home, you have your own property. Like maybe we can have a virtual, you know, property, and finally, like, I say, hey, look, I have this virtual property. I might be sleeping in a 1-bedroom flat, you know, or like, you know, broke and sleeping on a chair, but I could be living in a mansion, but I can actually view it on my phone.
Hello K would be in a KFC.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that sounds awesome. And sorry, you got my brain going, and I want to ask about it, actually, the ICO and IDO part. But one thing I did want to say, because you know, like you mentioned, there's some inspiration and some similarities to Veve. I'm sure some people are gonna be like, oh, like, is this, you know, like a big competitor of Veve? And I'm not really seeing it that way. And like, I've had people ask before, like, oh, is Terra Virtua a threat to Veve? Is Quid a threat to Veve? This space is so nascent, it's not even emerging yet in the grander, like crypto is still an emerging technology in the vast world of technology. And this sector of crypto is still very, very, very tiny. And so other companies coming up into the space is actually a good thing for the broader space and for each other, because you're bringing awareness to each other by just being different, right? And I think what Kalo's doing is targeting different kind of organizations, targeting some of the similar, and there will be market share, but it's not necessarily going to be a one fits all, right? Like, I am an avid Veve collector. I'm an avid collector. of everything, but you know, I'm going to be still collecting Veve collectibles. I'm going to be collecting Calo collectibles. And I think that having more than one option is actually a pretty good thing. If anything, there might be maybe a partnership in the future, which I know you probably can't confirm. And, you know, we'll see kind of how that goes. But that was just kind of my two thoughts in case anyone, you know, is going to see this video and say like, oh, you know, are they a threat to Veve? I would say no. It sounds like you guys are kind of, you know, all ships rise up, right? So that kind of was just my thought pattern as you were speaking.
It was designed to really like you know, uplift NFTs. Veve is just one part of like a massive industry. You know, again, NFTs can go from your university degrees to maybe even your passport. So like Veve is focused on that licensing bit. For me, and the rest of the team, like we believe if we focus this solely, this is your ticket to potentially a brand new metaverse identity, potentially a place where you can keep your NFTs, and you know, it's literally just building a home for what you're doing. And again, taking, I mean, a place where you can actually take account maybe how much your whole collection is worth, rather than just, you know, per sector. I mean, you guys know better than I do. You probably like log into so many NFT, you know, projects that you probably don't know the login details for some of these ones, or you know, what are they doing in the moment? Like, there's no updates. So you know, for us, it's like we're trying to make it as simple as possible, almost like a, you know, a slot in slot, like a glove. We just, you know, you can wear this glove with that glove. Again, we're acting as the bridge, you know, like, you know, Kaloscope really, you know, when we came up with the name, you know, Kalos is a Greek word for beautiful, and scope was just another word for vision. So Kaloscope really means like beautiful vision. Like wherein, like we have the beautiful vision wherein, what if we can bridge these metaverses? What if we can create, you know, mixed reality experiences with all NFTs, not just licensed ones. You know, that's really where the magic is, because you know, the number one content creator in the world is not licensed brands. It's the individual people, the everyday people who make, you know, community a community. You know, a culture is only as great as its people, and you know, like people can come up with brands, but again, a lot of people follow real down-to-earth influencers, independent artists. And you know, I mean, I grew up with Pokemon. For me, like, yeah, you know, you want to catch them all, right? But at the same time, you have that goal wherein, you know, everybody has their own you know, sort of aspect in life. Like, do you want to be do you want to be a master collector? Do you want to be a master creator? Do you want to be a master trader? So these are like sort of potentially little indicator icons that we'll add to the app as well, to indicate like where do you belong. You know, for me, a collector is not just buying stuff, it's knowing what you buy and why you buy it. That's what a true collector is, you know, like taking care of it. And that's why people pay loads of money for it, because they really took the time to understand the NFT. They don't just, you know, buy it and they flip it the next day.
Right.
For me, it feels like cryptocurrency, right? But, you know, for me, collecting is a bit more deeper than that, because I'm willing to pay for something I care about, like 10, 100 times more than something that just came out and I don't understand anything about it.
No, that makes sense. And I like that idea of having more than just that master collector, like you said, like a master trader or a master creator. Like I think that could be broadened a lot, and I like the concept a lot. And you mentioned earlier about how, you know, there'll be some select few that go into the app. Just so you know, Kirk, I'm an excellent guinea pig. I can help you find all the bugs. So if you're looking for someone to hop in the app, sign me up and begin collecting. But you touched on it before. I know you didn't have an ICO or an IDO for initial investment, but you mentioned that there will be one upcoming, and that token, that will be the Kalos token, or, you know, how will that all work?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really decided on the exact name of it. At the moment, we're calling it the Calcoin. Calcoin sounds like fun, but the roadmap to that, you know, it's still, you know, I can't really reveal too much about it because we're working towards that white paper. The draft should be finished, I guess, by the expo time. And then after that, once we get a better understanding on, you know, people's reactions to the app, you know, just like a small case study on like, you know, like these are all, you know, maybe crypto and NFT buyers. Do they really, you know, do they really care about, you know, coming up with a platform to project their NFTs? Do they really care about that? You know, and maybe like the other question is like, does it actually push up the value if people can actually interact with it? You know, stuff like this. Like these are questions that we are looking for, and that's why we didn't go straight into an ICO IDO phase initially. Because for me, as an entrepreneur, you want to test your idea. You want to find out from you know people's reactions, because that will give you the indicator that we're going in the right direction. And you know, and that's where we're building the community now, because it's all about, you know, I think the metaverse is all about community based. It's not just about having big Facebook, you know, just overheading the rest and finding out how you can get addicted to the app. You know, it's more like how do you how what can we do to make it enjoyable? What can we do to improve the user experience, rather than just you know something that we can make money from you. You know, it's not about that, because money will come. This is the crypto space, but it's about the users. It's about all about the users.
I 100% agree, and I think that's the right mentality to go into it, because that's what's been really successful in this space. When you listen to Dan and David from Veve talk about it, like you feel the passion, right? If you said you caught my interview with Tom Bilyeu, his mentality is not just, hey, we like to collect and we want to make money and sell things, but it's about creating an emotional impact on the collector, the buyer, the seller, the community. And I think those projects are what develop the strongest and what retain users. So I think you have the right mentality going into it. And like, you're right, like the money will come, but building up the community and the fact that there's already one building before we can even get our hands on it is pretty exciting. I know you mentioned the big Dubai event that's coming in the next couple weeks for the big crypto event, where you'll be kind of showcasing or revealing a little bit more. Are there any other, I guess, you know, big events that you have planned for the rest of the year, or big announcements that we can look forward to?
We're probably going to do, so after our first drop, we're probably going to do a second drop around November. And then after that, maybe a nice Christmas special as well. So those are stuff that you can look forward to, I'd say. But, you know, I can't really put a pin on it on what date it is, etc. But one thing I could say is like the whole team is working super hard. You know, like my founders who, you know, like Ryan, Ali, who is a former CEO of another company, Cherry, who's helping build partnerships, and Daniel working on a white paper, Christian, who's my in-house CTO. Like these guys are seasoned entrepreneurs themselves that came together trying to solve this problem. And, you know, and combine that with, you know, I've known Kay for almost, how long now, Kay? How long have you known each other?
I think we met in about 2013, I think. So yeah, about 8 years.
Yeah, so Kay can tell you my journey, like how I started out just in university and just wanting to build something. And, you know, Kay has seen my journey from, you know, one of the very beginnings. And
yeah,
for
it was
me,
pretty inspirational. I remember when Kirk was telling me, because we're both in university at the time. He had his final year exams, I think. He told me he just got out of the exam hall, just walked out in his final exam, didn't finish his degree. And he's just like, I'm going to go start my own company.
What a savage.
Yeah, he just did a proper, like, you know, very kind of stereotypical drop out of uni, school, go start your own business. And at the time, I thought, okay, let's see how it goes. Because most people, what's the statistic? Like 90% of businesses fail in like the first year.
Yep.
And Kirk, who kind of like just quit uni, didn't really have. I mean, he had like experience because of his family. You know, his family's quite big in Asia. But I thought, okay, well, let's see how it goes. And you know, I was very surprised. He managed to start up a global hemp company. He had loads of partnerships. You know, his products were shipping globally. They then branched off into, you know, like supplements, medical devices, and it was all going quite well. And then the pandemic hit, and then, you know, people start to kind of diverge into other areas. And, you know, tech is a very fast growing area, especially with NFTs. So, you know, Kirk, being the entrepreneur he is, just saw the opportunity, went all in. And, you know, I think it can't be emphasized enough that Kirk's background in like sustainability, ESG, all of these things that big institutions care about, all of those relationships, all of those contacts he's built up over the years, all of that is translatable 100% into NFTs. And people, when they start to see what's rolling out, all of that kind of background that Kirk's developed over the years, all of that will make sense. And yeah, I was genuinely impressed by how well he had done, having, you know, gone from dropping out of uni.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great also to hear you mentioned that part of the team are like former CEOs, you know, your CTO, and it sounds like it isn't just, you know, you and Kay. There's actually distinguished entrepreneurs, distinguished former CEOs of companies who are a part of the leadership team. And so, you know, as an investor, I'm always looking at who are the leaders and what kind of weight is behind it. And it sounds like there's a lot of weight and foundation to Kaloscope, with a lot of knowledge base, and, as Kay just said, a lot of strong connections in built out different verticals and different spaces. So really looking forward to seeing some of these announcements that are coming, you know, next couple weeks, as well as the coming months. Before I tell people where they can find you or ask you about that, I guess, are there any last little nuggets that you want to give away on this stream to the world?
I would just have to say that, you know, when I know some of you guys like say, I want to start my own business, I want to do my own thing, and NFTs are becoming that gateway as well, from what I can see. You know, at the end of the day, you know, business is about solving problems. And I feel like, you know, people also you know, there's a split between building a business and building a company, right? That people don't understand. And I define it in this way. You know, a business is what you do, and a company is who you are. And when you build who you are, and, you know, Steve Jobs is one of my biggest inspirations, you attract the best talents. You know, you motivate the best teams, and people will quit for you. People will, you know, die for that vision for you if it's as clear as possible, and you're trying to solve a problem that everybody has. And we're all working towards something greater than, you know, something that probably, even if when we're not around, you know, would last. And, you know, it's built not just by the people who are actually part of the company, but also outside of it. Like, this is, you know, this is what I loved about Veve, and this is why, you know, I'm a collector in Veve as well. I have my own collectibles. I honestly, like, between you and me, guys, I only spent $300 and started flipping to where I am. Like, you know, I'm that type of person, but then I managed to collect all the stuff that I really wanted just by going through this cycle. And, you know, the community is pure love. And the idea for this was really in support of that community. And not just that, all the other communities outside of it. So, you know, like, build something that other people can use, and so that it'll last longer. And, you know, this is how you leave a legacy, guys.
Love it. Great words.
Yeah, just to add to that, so I think it's quite important that people kind of take into consideration the fact that if you look at all of the kind of up and coming crypto projects, all these new crypto projects, and you ask yourself the question, how many of these projects are able to kind of develop even just a demo version of their product without having to raise capital through an ICO or IDO. Because a lot of these projects, it's a bunch of, fairly clever people, they've got experience with blockchain, they come up with an idea, but then they need to raise capital. The fact that, Kirk's developed this project and he's managed to gather the capital through, various different ways of investments without having to go through an ICO or IDO. If you look at how many projects can actually do that, it's in the single digits as a percent. And that just a testament to, Kirk's acumen as, an entrepreneur, as a business person, all of the relationships, contacts he's built up over the years. And I think it's very clear that I say this now, that even though Kirk comes from quite a, celebrity family in Asia, very, very big business partners they have, Kirk managed to do this without the help of his family. He's done this by himself. So I think he's quite a humble person, but I think it's important to emphasize that Kirk's vision, he's in it for the long haul. He's managed to do this without having to go through an, public fundraising round. But there will be one. And that's obviously once we're quite close to giving the product out to everyone to use. Just for now, we're trying to raise as much awareness so people kind of are aware of it. And so they get to become more familiarized with the project, with the space, with the community. Because for us, it is heavily about the community.
Great ad, Kay. That was actually something that stood out to me too, is you can count on maybe, two hands how many projects have been able to do that without an ICO, IDO. So very impressive, Kirk. And I appreciate you kind of, going into that side, like that stuck out to me as well because when you look at the space, like Web3 developers and being able to develop this technology, it's extremely difficult. And in fact, I think like Web3 developers are going to be like some of the highest paid jobs probably in the near future, if not already, because they need more of them. And so I think having the know-how, understanding how to put, your dream and your goals into actual reality in process, I think is good on you on for doing that. So very excited about the project. Can't wait to see more. Where can people, I guess, in the interim, learn more, find you on social media and stay up to date on Kaloscope as things develop?
Yeah, so just follow us on our website. We will be hoping to launch the first Medium article, I think, tomorrow, and then or today if this video is recorded, and then after that we'll be just showcasing bits of teasers. We'll be interacting with the community. So much thanks to Dozer from the Comic Way, and Hera and Wendy and Kay especially. So these guys, I call them the Kalos Knights. These are like the community managers that are going to be working towards delivering the message that we're trying to portray. And these guys are handpicked solely because of their individual skill sets and their contributions. It's not just that, also from our Ukraine team here that are developing the app, and we have an AR VR team. So it's actually, we are quite a massive team for a project that was just blown out of something for a few months ago. And the concept is as clear as what we can do it. But again, all this will be answered, I guess, maybe after the expo in Dubai. And we'll do some more little AMAs, I guess, if people want to find out more. But I think really, just join our Discord group, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or LinkedIn, and subscribe to our sort of newsletter through our website at kaloscope.io. And that's pretty much it.
I think we'll have the links in the description for all of those.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I'll add those. And, I know I am, and I know the community, and I believe the reason why I wanted to do this too is because I'm always looking for, the next big thing, like the next big project. And I've always wanted to be into one super early. And I felt like I was in pretty early in Veve back in February, but I wish I was back, back in like the 2018, 2019 days, like Brock. And I feel excitement with Kaloscope, and that's why I wanted to have you on, so I could share it with the community and let them know, like, this has my interest, right? And so, we look forward to seeing the app and to start collecting. I'll be covering more Kaloscope content as more develops. make sure those who are watching, you're subscribed and you like the video so others can, understand what's happening at Kaloscope and hear from Kirk himself. I recommend you join the Discord. I'll put the links down below, as well as follow them on Twitter, and I'll put the site info as well. But Kirk, Kay, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to own all the secret rares in Kaloscope.
Secret rares are coming.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Thank you, Taps. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kay.
Of course. Thanks, gentlemen. Cheers.
Thank you.